right, good evening everyone. This is Kevin Crouch with South Metro Weather, and I'm going live because we have what has amounted to a pretty persistent situation with these storms. You can see the one behind me that has really made the most noise tonight. This has not yet been severe warned downstream. We had the original warning in northern Ellis County, and this is kind of what we were watching around the Pecan Hill area that moved into the Red Oak area, now moving towards the Ferris and Palmer areas here. This storm it's been tough to kind of tell what it's doing. It was moving south very slowly at 10 miles per hour, and then now it seems to be moving a little quicker, and it's moving a little bit more to the southeast. I know that there's an event going on at Rail Yard Park. I've been talking back and forth with the city on this, and the other thing that we're seeing now is additional development here between Waxahachie and Midlothian that will be moving southward as well. If we put this into motion here, you can see that we have this growing convection across this area. Now, this in theory is not severe, but these are strong storms that tend to increase in intensity fairly quickly. So what we could easily see is winds of 60 plus miles per hour and hail the size of nickels, quarters, that kind of thing with this storm. Now I want to zoom out and just talk about something else as well, because in southern Hill County, southwestern Hill County, near Laguna Park there, we have this storm. We had this one that has moved into McLennan County now. There's one right behind it as well. Both of these possible could bring, again, hail in the size of a quarter and larger than that, and winds of 60 miles per hour as well. And if we look across our area, we've been watching these outflow boundaries. There's really two of them. You can see one right here, and then a larger one now moving really more due south. So this is the one that is creating the new storms here. And I was talking to someone this morning, in fact, I think it was the city of Waxahachie, about the fact that these storms this time of year are so hard to predict, and they're so hard to follow exactly what's going to happen, because they produce these outflow boundaries, and then from there, what happens? The outflow boundary comes through, it blows up new storms. You really have no idea where it's going to happen, where the storms are going to happen, when, how intense they're going to be, all those things. So there's so much to really have to try to figure out with these storms coming through and with these outflow boundaries that are usually, this is actually pretty tame compared to what we've seen this time of year. There are times when we have outflow boundaries that are just bouncing around all over the place, causing complete chaos in storms all over the place. So northern Ellis County and far southwestern Hill County right now are the two areas where we have most of the storms. Those warnings have been allowed to expire at this point, so there are no current severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for our area. But that could easily change with this new storm just outside of Waxahachie. There could be a storm in far southwestern Hill County. I think most of that is staying in Bosque County here, but I know that there are folks that are outdoors tonight and doing different events. So if you're at Lake Whitney, that area, you need to be watching this, because these could be prolific lightning producers, and that alone could be dangerous, especially out on the water. In addition to the winds making choppy conditions as well. So here's what we're watching again in northern Ellis County. This is really kind of the most impact for our particular area, for the four-county area that we are watching right now. Because these storms, either of which, even if they're not severe at this point, a lot of lightning, strong winds, very heavy rain coming down, and an event like the one at Rail Yard Park that's going on right now. I know they're ticking down to a concert there. This storm was kind of hanging out north here. It's now pushed southward. This southward moving outflow boundary has kind of helped push it and is now creating new development. And even if neither of these storms move over downtown Waxahachie, it's very possible that we could get a new storm. I mean, look at this new cell right outside of between Boz and Maypearl, right in the 5 Points area there. Could easily see that blow up as well. So this is when things become much harder to predict, and Jimmy Porch reminding me to put him up there. I apologize. This was a kind of a sudden, very sudden deal. So as we continue to monitor this new development here, and again, you can see it's really south of downtown too, we could see new development here as well. Let me just send a message out Okay, I'm just trying to kind of keep in touch with some folks. Yeah, so we have new development now south of Waxahachie. So really the downtown Waxahachie area is kind of encased in these storms. And the other thing that's hard to call is, what do you do with an event like this? Do you delay it? Do you cancel it? How long are these storms going to be around? We're getting right around, I mean, we don't have that much daylight left, but that's the thing. Daylight is what's powering these storms primarily, in addition to all of the lift that this outflow boundary has created. The tricky part is normally sunset is going to allow those storms to weaken. You lose that daytime heating. That kind of takes away a lot of the energy that powers these storms, but that's not always the case. There are times when you will have a storm, especially kind of these later developers, that can power themselves through for a while, even without that daytime heating loss. So when it comes down to it, I think that we could be looking at a situation where Waxahachie will be looking at pretty heavy storms, probably at least for the next half hour, if not close to an hour. Just again, depending on these storms, what kind of development we get here, how long they hang around. These are not moving particularly very quickly. The one between Waxahachie and Midlothian here really isn't moving much at all. It's just blossoming. Neither are these two cells. So at very least, heavy rain, and I'm sure any kind of concert is going to have pretty expensive equipment as well. We look over at Johnson County, this outflow boundary is moving through, not really much happening. Probably some raindrops along this outflow boundary as it's pushing through, but there's not any kind of real convection there. And then Navarro County is quiet so far. We'll have to watch these two storms, or this cluster of storms rather, as it continues to move southward. And you can see really there's kind of a line that has developed here that continues to move southward. So these storms, if they continue to persist and hold their strength, those could move towards Navarro County a little bit later tonight. So we will keep an eye on that. But I haven't started live coverage before now because a lot of the time you have these storms that will pulse up, strengthen, and then very quickly weaken, right? So you kind of get stuck in a situation where if I were to go live and tell you about a severe thunderstorm warning that's going on, by the time I get everything set up and get ready to go, get up here and get on camera, it could be weakened by that point. But what we are seeing is that this line that has developed here, this broken line of storms, has become more consistent and persistent, I would say, in their strength. They are weaker right now. I do still think we're probably looking at some hail moving into the Palmer area right now. We can take a look at a couple of things. First, I want to look at the wind speeds, and I don't see any spots of stronger winds, particularly probably the strongest winds just on the south side of Palmer there, getting towards Garrett. And none of these storms look to be producing really powerful winds at this time, but we are looking at that hail risk. Near 5 points here, that could be one hail core, and again, the other I mentioned, towards the Palmer area. So no hail in Waxahachie right now. We're not really looking at that threat, but the problem is, again, that these storms could very quickly intensify and pick up in intensity in those areas. So we'll have to keep watching all of this, and as I mentioned, we'll kind of back this up a little bit. I just want to show you all of this is beginning to move much more progressively to the south and to the southwest. And you can see this new development here north of Athens as well. So this line is definitely not only bringing existing storms into areas further south, but is creating new development there. And then again, where you don't have development, where you just have the outflow boundary, that's bringing gusty winds, and those can be disruptive as well. So another evening, another summertime, late spring, early summer evening, where we have these storms that just very quickly become intense. In fact, we've had a new update on this storm. Yeah, so between Boz and Maypearl here, definitely looking at the possibility of some hail in that storm. Also, just west of Waxahachie here, between Waxahachie and Mountain Peak. These two will probably be the other two storms that I think pick up the rains. The storm near the Palmer area looks to be weakening a little bit at this time, but these two storms are definitely picking up speed and picking up intensity, really not speed, more intensity, very, very fast. So I know that I've been talking to someone about the event downtown. What I would say, I can't see what your setup there is, so I can't give a lot of advice, and I try not to give specific advice. But if you're having an event in any of these areas where any of these storms are, your primary problem, your primary threat to human safety is going to be the lightning, and there's going to be plenty of it. You also have the fact that there's heavy rains that could do damage to equipment. You have strong winds that could do damage to equipment. And then you have small hail that will be a nuisance. I don't think we have hail that's doing too much damage at this point. We do have 1-inch hail in the past. I don't know that we have hail that size right now. But again, these storms could very well, very quickly intensify up to that point. So, okay, yeah, so seeing a report in Maypearl that we're getting about, what did it say, nickel-sized hail there in that in the chat there. I'm trying to follow. Okay, yeah, reports of hail in these storms looks like, I think everyone said nickel to dime-sized hail, which sounds about right. So we are looking at hail production in these storms, and we could easily, as quickly as these storms have bubbled up and intensified, they could very easily lose intensity in the next few minutes. So that's the hard part about these storms, is sometimes they bubble up and they become very powerful, and then they just collapse because they don't have the strength to sustain themselves. So I'm keeping an eye on that. I'm keeping an eye on the storm moving towards Palmer to see if that's going to intensify again as well. And as we kind of broaden this out, we do have more development up in the Cedar Hill area here, so that will likely be moving towards the Ovilla, Red Oak areas as well, giving another shot of heavy rain where it's already fallen over the last several minutes. And that really is it. We have the strong storm in far southwestern Hill County right now, but that is moving out. That will be moving towards McLennan County here in the next several minutes. So really, Ellis County is getting the only bit of development here. Now, from Mejia to Teague here south of Navarro County, there's some development. But as this line continues to move southward, this broken line here, and we are getting new development ahead of it, I would be looking at northern Navarro County over the next several minutes to possibly be a center for more development here. So we could see stronger storms in those areas too, very easily in the next several minutes here. If we go out and take a broader look just of North Texas, you can see that there's new development west of Denton there. Plenty of this from Waco on back towards into Bosque County there. Plenty of this development in Ellis County that we have been watching, and then on from there. So it's so hard to figure out exactly where this stuff is going to happen. I wasn't even sure we were going to get this much coverage this evening. It was looking like it was a little bit unsure, but like I said, that's what we're looking at in terms of, I'm going to open this window up here. That's what we're looking at this time of year. We have those storms that very quickly just blow up out of nowhere, and there's no rhyme or reason as to location. Sometimes you can track it with an outflow boundary here, but they just blow up. The sky is falling for a while and then it stops, unless you get a storm that just sits there, which is pretty common too. Sometimes you're going to have those lighter winds like we've had tonight, lighter winds. Generally, and I'm not talking about where the outflow boundaries went through, those are gusty, but light winds throughout the day today, not really driving these storms much. So that caused the storm in southern Dallas County and northern Ellis County to just kind of sit there. It's hard to know where those are going to go. It's hard to know what those are going to do because for a while they're a flood risk because they're just sitting there. Then they evolve into a severe weather risk when they sit there and intensify and you're getting hail and it's not going anywhere. But then, as is the case here, you get that outflow boundary that kind of carries that storm farther south. And that's been the situation that we have been watching here. We'll take another look at these hail cores here and see if we have any new updates. Yeah, we definitely have an intensifying hail core right in the Boz area here, southwest of Waxahachie. So if you're in that Boz area between 66 and 876, right around the 5 Points area, that's where Great House Road is, that's Bethel area, all this, you could be looking at an intensifying hail situation here, could be very quickly. So don't be surprised if you're seeing hail in that area right now. And other than that, though, the hail situation has stayed relatively docile near the Palmer area. I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing some pea-sized hail here left over from that storm, but it has continued to show weaker trends here, which is why we've not had another severe thunderstorm warning issued for that storm yet. It could happen. We could see that storm intensify again, and more reports of hail in the Maypearl area here. And I'm pretty sure you're probably talking about, again, the Boz area. I'm sure there are parts of this area that consider themselves Maypearl. But outside the studio right now, definitely seeing the mix of darker and lighter clouds. I'm sure we don't have anything above us immediately right now, but definitely hearing the thunder. And let me get back to the reflectivity here. So I talked about the hail, or excuse me, the lightning threat here. Lightning can strike 30 miles outside of a storm. That is a big, big concern of mine when you have people outdoors here. Downtown Waxahachie is kind of just surrounded here. There's nothing going on at this moment to interfere with the concert going on there that I believe, if it is still, I don't know if that concert is still going or if that has been called or delayed. I don't know what the situation is. But I can definitely say that there's storms all around here, and at the very least at this moment, it may not be the safest for people to be outdoors because of how much lightning we have in the area. I mean, we talk about hail, we talk about strong winds. These things are pretty easy to predict when it's moving your way, or I can tell you, hey, this storm may intensify and include a hail risk, but lightning is so very quick. You don't have any time to warn for it, and it just happens. And when you get into late spring, summer, those storms, summer storms are very prolific lightning producers, and I'm not sure we have the fullest idea of why. A lot of it is it's drier air. You just have better conditions for lightning in summer storms. So when those are in the area, we pretty much assume, and you can see the little lightning indicators that are throughout these storms here. You can hear the thunder here. I pretty much tell people that if you can hear thunder, you need to head inside, because again, 30 miles outside of a storm. It's very, very rare that happens, but that simply serves to illustrate the strength of these lightning strikes and these lightning-filled storms that sometimes will move through. So let me get this back into motion here. And again, we'll kind of cover the 4 counties. Nothing in Navarro County right now. We'll be watching this line to see if that's going to move into northern portions of Navarro County in the next several minutes. Not much in Hill County. The one storm that was impacting parts of Hill County here, maybe the far southern edge of Lake Whitney, that storm is quickly weakening here. You can see that's quickly falling apart. Now, once this alpha boundary moves closer, that could change circumstances a little bit. Johnson County has the alpha boundary about to exit now, so it doesn't look like much is going on, but these storms could be spreading eastward, westward enough. The Grandview area could need to watch these storms, but we'll keep an eye on that for you. And then Ellis County is the kind of the epicenter right now of storm development. We have more development going on south of Waxahachie as well. So we'll zoom back in here. And as is often the case, we see these 2 storms west of Waxahachie appear to be weakening a bit. And, we're in the situation where these 2 could be gone in the next 2 or 3 radar scans. We also have more development going on south of Waxahachie. So it could easily, we could easily see this stuff completely avoid downtown Waxahachie. But the volatile nature of this is that it could happen. We could see this stuff intensify or weaken, and it's really anybody's guess of what's going to happen there. Here's Garrett and Ennis northwest of there. We're looking at the, looks like another hail core developing there. So this storm could be intensifying now. So this is going to be moving towards Garrett, at least northern parts of Ennis here. I think the hail core will probably avoid parts of Ennis here. It's a little tough to know exactly where it's going to end up. But this storm it is moving into the Ennis area. So I would say really if it continues its southeasterly track, this could in fact affect more parts of Ennis, especially northern and eastern sections of Ennis here. Here is 287 of course, and here is 45. So this storm beginning to intensify as it moves into the Ennis area. This storm is not severe warned at this time, but it could warrant a warning if that continues to pick up the pace, if we continue to see that intensify over the course of the next several minutes here. New storm moving into the Oakleaf area does not look as large, but it does look like there could be a hail core developing there that is more in the Ovilla area right now. So that's going to continue to move on to the southeast. That will threaten the Waxahachie area as well. And then, as I mentioned, let me get that back into motion. As I mentioned, we have all this new development from near Avalon here through Bardwell over towards Ennis. So these storms could easily become strong storms over the next several minutes too. I mean, if you're in Ellis County at this point, most of us should at least expect at least a few raindrops here over the next several minutes. So as this continues to, again, move southeastward, if we look north, southern Dallas County is still getting some rain from all of this, but really it's south of I-20 at this point. I think south of I-20 that's kind of where the backside of all of this development is. So that will continue to move southward. I think that will help clear us out. At least that's the way it looks right now, that there is... I do think we have drier air that's going to try to kind of clear this stuff out over the next, it's 8:10 right now. I would say the next 30 minutes to maybe an hour. As this continues to move southward, that should clear us out, at least of this convection. That combined with the lowering of the sun, the losing of daytime heating, I think will help to clear things out. In Rail Yard Park in Waxahachie, I don't know how late that event was supposed to go. I understand how late the equipment was going to be set up, but I don't know how late the event itself was supposed to go. But we may be able to clear things out and get things done here over the next hour or so. And that also, like I said, will give time for the sun to go down and allow things to stabilize much more. Temperatures come down, air stabilizes, and for the most part, at least the expectation is that these storms lose some of their intensity and you have a cooler, quieter night. Now, the other thing to remember is that as these storms collapse, all that energy goes somewhere, and generally it goes down. So tonight, as these storms weaken and as they collapse, if they are still in our area when they do so, we could then see gusty winds across our area. We could see 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts as these storms collapse and all that energy rushes southward and outward, just like the winds that created these outflow boundaries. So we could be looking at I would say nuisance winds, not storm winds, but nuisance winds after all of this moves out. So keep that in mind as well. You're never quite done when these storms collapse. You sometimes have some residual effects that will go through that. So we'll continue to keep an eye on two things here. One is this area of development between Waxahachie and Maypearl here that looks to be possibly intensifying here. And then this storm between Palmer and Garrett moving into the Ennis area which does appear to be increasing in strength as well. So we've kind of been able to isolate this to 2 storms, and I don't want to forget the Oakleaf, Ovilla area. It looks like that storm is weakening at this time. I think some of this more stable air, some of this drier air might be catching up to it and kind of helping to weaken that storm as well. So we're going to watch all of this over the next several minutes here. And again, one more time as we continue to watch this whole area. This outflow boundary soon moving out of Johnson County, moving through Hill County right now. So over the next several minutes, there could be new development across Hill County if this outflow boundary is able to create that. At this point, it doesn't look like that's much of an issue, but these storms could move into northwestern portions, northern, northeastern portions, I would say, of Hill County. So that will be worth watching as well. We need to get zoomed into Ellis County. We need to check some hail cores here. Yeah, we definitely, again, have a persistent hail core west of 5 points, and then the one from really in the Garrett area moving southeast towards the Ennis area right now. So those are the 2 that we are paying most attention to right now. These will continue to move southeastward and will continue to impact, again, the Ennis area west of Waxahachie. Watching the Waxahachie area right now for a better idea of kind of what to expect from these storms. We continue to watch the backside of all of this. Again, it does look like we have... Okay, I'm watching the National Weather Service information here. We do have what looks like drier, more stable air pushing in behind all of this, and not exactly sure how quickly that's moving in and how quickly that would help to stabilize all of this. But I will tell you that downtown Waxahachie, the good news is that this development should help to generally push this stuff out of the Waxahachie area. Now, this storm here looks to be weakening, so if that one falls apart and we're able to get these storms out of the way, Waxahachie would be in a better shape. Now, when it comes to Ennis, this storm is moving right towards that area. So if there are outdoor events in Ennis right now, I would strongly consider getting anyone out there into shelter right now. No tornadoes in this storm, but could be gusty winds, could be small hail. That's enough to at least be a pain in the backside for anybody that's caught under it. And west of Waxahachie, too, north of Italy, west of Waxahachie, moving really towards the Maypro area, another heavy storm that could include hail. We've had reports of hail in the Maypro area really persistently. So over the last several minutes here, we've been getting more and more reports of that over the last few minutes that we've been live here. I just keep seeing hail in the Maypro area. Keep seeing that report. So it looks like the Maypro area, there's a pretty persistent storm there. Here we've got updates, so let's pause this. If I can get my mouse to work with me here. A couple of things I want to talk about. Well, let's do weather first. Yeah, west of 5 points, again, persistent hail core here. You don't want to play around with this. So, I mean, the hail does not look to be too large at this point, but you definitely want to be careful with this, as this is one of those storms, your updrafts are increasing very fast, so you could be looking at large hail in that area. And then this storm continues to look like a hail threat as it moves towards the Ennis area. A couple of things I want to cover here and that I need to cover before we wrap up is I've had a couple of people asking me about how to support me. Number one, advertising. If you're a company that would like to advertise, definitely get in touch with me. The Cash App and the Venmo and things are in the description as well. The other thing too is to subscribe to the YouTube channel, the YouTube page here. We have the stream going on Facebook, Twitter as well. The Facebook and Twitter streams just are not as clear and crisp as the YouTube stream is. So if you go over to the YouTube channel, check out that stream, subscribe there. You're helping us kind of diversify our content there. and you're getting better content. Now, that doesn't mean stop following on Facebook. The Facebook and Twitter are where we do kind of more of our periodic updates. YouTube isn't so great for that, but YouTube is great for those daily forecast videos that I do on weekdays, Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekend if necessary, and then obviously live streams like this, your video content. So make sure you check out that YouTube channel as well. And then, like I said, if you do want to support, financially support the operation, all that information is in the description there as well, and in the chat. So we're watching these two storms. We've kind of been able to narrow things down, and I want to check messages here. Just trying to make sure I'm not missing anything there. So we have this storm southwest of Waxahachie. I will say that downtown Waxahachie is pretty well spared of anything intense at this moment. I think we do have some at least steady rain heading into downtown Waxahachie in the next few minutes that could interact with that event going on there. Lots of lightning and thunder obviously to the west of there. That it is a concern. And then if in the Ennis area, I am concerned about this storm moving directly into that area. So if you are in Ennis and there are outdoor events in Ennis, outdoor events are kind of my main concern tonight, because I know that there's been a lot of events going on today. There's events in Dallas. I was at one in Midway Airport. Fortunately, that was a morning event, so we didn't have to deal with any of the weather. We just had to deal with the heat. But those evening outdoor events are what I'm most concerned about at this time. And I'm looking at a report. Let me see what this says here in the chat here. Okay, so if you're wondering about the event at Rail Yard Park, a message has just been posted there. Okay, so a plan is in place at Rail Yard Park. I've been talking back and forth, and it's always fun on a day like today, when essentially I have to eloquently and professionally say that I'm really not sure exactly what's going to happen. But we can at least tell you, even on a day like this, we can at least tell you, here's what we expect, here's what you need to be ready for. I'm sure for a lot of event planners, that translates into, hey, we need to have a backup plan for this or that or the other. An update just came from the National Weather Service. Let me take a look at this too. So yeah, the National Weather Service expects storm coverage to start to dissipate over the next few hours, obviously as we lose daytime heating. And yeah, we'll talk about tomorrow's rain in just a little bit. That's kind of the next thing here. But yeah, I'm curious if anybody will tell me in the chat, are there outdoor events in Ennis right now? That might be the next big. Ennis is really going to be the biggest population center getting a strong storm over the next several minutes, and I want to focus in on that. Here's the storm, here's the hail core that will be moving towards the Ennis area. So in fact, it's been a minute since we got a radar update here. I should be seeing an update from the radar here pretty shortly, I would imagine. Let me just watch and make sure we get that update here. Here we go. Okay, yeah, so moving into Ennis right now is this storm, hail core in tow. So as this continues to move on to the southeast, I am concerned about the Ennis area. So if you are watching in Ennis right now and you're at an outdoor event, you need to be taking shelter, because we have lightning, very heavy rain, possible hail, gusty winds moving in with this storm. The storm is not severe warned at this time, but I want you to understand that we are looking at a very intense storm, a strong storm that could be dangerous to folks. And I'm looking at, I'm assuming there's a pretty nice sunset going on behind me, if you're able to see the sunset. But this storm will continue to move on to the southeast, and of course ahead of that is Alma, Rice, Oak Grove, Ensign, Creechville, these areas. So this will continue to move on to the southeast. At this point, it's really a race between, do the storms get there before the sun goes down, and you have possibly a weakening storm. So that's kind of what we're watching for at this point, is to see how long will this storm continue as the sun continues to go down. Okay, so I'm just watching the phone to see what information we have coming in. And thank you, Danielle, for the update in the chat there. That is great. That keeps me. And if there's anything, what I'll tell you is that if you have an outdoor event, we've got the one in Waxahachie. If there's outdoor events, other places in the county that are impacted or that you think may be impacted, send a message to the page or post in the comment section. I'll be happy to address that on air. Because we love our outdoor events in spring in Texas. And I understand that. I love them too. But the messaging game is the game that I play. So if there are announcements that need to be posted out there, feel free to send a message or post those in the comment section here. I am monitoring all of that. So I want to make sure that we get that information out as quickly and effectively as possible. But this storm moving towards Ennis, this is the biggest population center right now that is going to be impacted by a strong storm. Not severe, it's not severe warned at this time. That could be coming very soon. Not as high a population center, but there are still plenty of good folks out in this area. So more hail possible west of 5 points, and this storm has not been moving much. So my other concern here with this slow moving storm now is the possibility we could be looking at flooding issues as well. I know there's plenty of low-lying areas out here. If you're in one of those flood-prone areas, you need to be taking precautions at this time to make sure that you are prepared if and when these very high rain rates begin to pile up in your area. So make sure that you are prepared for that. There's also the gusty winds and the small hail associated with this. So as we continue to watch this, just keep in mind, I don't know if there's any outdoor events going on in this area, but the storm is moving on down south, and it will definitely be making its way into farther southern portions of Ellis County. Going back in the chat here just to see what's posted. And I did speak to several of you at the air show. I apologize if you were at the air show and I was talking to you and I very quickly had to run. We were running a rope line around these aircraft, keeping the public safe, and it was one of those things where we had aircraft coming in that we were trying to cover. We had our aircraft with the CAF that were going out. All these different things going on. So my apologies if we had to very quickly cut off a conversation so that I could go and make sure we were taking care of those obligations. The question of, I'm surprised it took this long, but the question of tornadoes tonight, no tornadoes are expected. Not really a tornado atmosphere. A tornado would require one of these storms to really be stable for a long time. And the kind of atmosphere we have right now, these storms are doing their best to maintain the strength they have. So fortunately, nothing is stable enough in the storms. Now, there's plenty of unstable air, but nothing in the storms is stable enough to maintain those rotating updrafts and create tornadoes. So tornadoes are not really an issue tonight. We'll continue to monitor all of this over the next several minutes. Again, the strongest storm in our area, at least I'm thinking, the most persistent hail core we've seen, moving towards the Ennis area right now. That'll be moving really into Ennis. We'll see the updated radar scan here probably in the next few minutes. And then west of Waxahachie, or southwest of Waxahachie, another very strong storm with another possible hail core there. So here is the storm in Ennis, and this really needs to become our focus now. We have what could be an expanding threat for hail. And Jessica, I will get to your question here in the next few moments. But we have an increasing hail threat moving into the Ennis area, increasing hail threat, increasing high wind threat. I don't see a severe weather warning, a severe thunderstorm warning for this storm right now, but we could very well see one over the next several minutes as this continues to move off to the southeast. So if you are in Ennis, if you're outdoors at this time, take shelter now. This is not something you need to be, again, there's no tornadoes in this, But strong winds, hail falling out of this storm. If you're outdoors, you need to make sure that you are indoors as quickly as possible. If you're on the roads, take your time, be patient, especially 287 here. It's really, really heavy here. So if you're on 287, definitely pay very close attention to this. And I'm getting a lot of pictures here. So, and I'm seeing one message that the clouds are really tall, and that's the thing, is you have, when you need lift, you want warm air. Warm air moves northward, or warm air moves upward, rather, and we've had plenty of heat today, so we have plenty of warm air to rise. We have plenty of lift coming in with these outflow boundaries. Going to lift those updrafts right up and get those clouds very, very tall, and that's how you get these hailstorms. But this one has been more persistent and continues to move to the southeast. And again, no warning here at this time, but I won't be surprised if a warning comes out for southeastern. There it is. Man, that was on cue, wasn't it? Severe thunderstorm warning issued now. That is until 9:15 p.m. So that's southeastern Ellis County, northern Navarro County here. So this includes Garrett and Ennis that are getting the storm now. Bardwell, Bird, Rankin in Ellis County, and then down to Alma, also in Ellis County, then Rice, M House, Berry, and really part of Blooming Grove here in Navarro County. Now, it does not show Corsicana included in this. It may not quite make it there. We'll have to watch and see what happens if the sun sets quickly enough to weaken it. But this is a severe warned storm now. So the severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for this storm. Hail in excess of, winds in excess of 50-55 miles per hour, and then 1-inch hail. Really, the hail risk is the biggest concern with this storm. So as this continues to move on to the southeast, that will be the concern. Now, the other thing I'll mention as well is you notice kind of this bow shape on this storm. That will kind of give a sign that we're probably looking at an increasing wind risk with this storm as well. So as this continues to move on to the southeast and continues to move through the Ennis area, moving towards Ensign, Oak Grove, and Alma, we could see an increasing wind risk with this storm as well if that bow shape continues to grow there. Let me grab a quick drink here. All right, been catching up on hydration all day here. So this is the severe warned storm, and if you're just tuning in, I'm sure there are folks that just got the severe thunderstorm warning in the Ennis area. If there are outdoor events going on here, those need to be paused. Those need to be stopped to allow people to take shelter to get away from the large hail and gusty winds in this storm. No tornadoes are expected tonight. Let me just make that very clear. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm not expecting hail out of this storm. Or excuse me, I'm not expecting tornadoes out of this storm. Hail and gusty winds will be the primary risk. And I'm getting a lot of reports here of hail in the Ennis area. So we're definitely looking at those concerns in those areas. So lots of reports now of the hail falling in the Ennis area. Okay. Just trying to watch messages and these kind of things for what is coming through. And I'm getting a video from my wife here showing the rain that's falling. Okay, and we do have again another again the increasing risk of hail in the Ennis area right now. This is the storm we're most concerned about. We'll zoom out in just a moment, but this is the storm that has prompted the severe thunderstorm warning. It is definitely showing an increasing hail risk across this area. And then as we zoom out and look at the whole area, I just want to make sure we look at the entire area. I know there's some that are in other areas, other parts of our area rather, that They're wondering what's going on as well. And this alpha boundary continues to move through Hill County, really inconsequentially at this point. Not much happening there, but I will say in far northern Hill County, this storm, this will bear watching. So as this continues to move southward towards the Italy area, towards Milford, towards Carl's Corner, that will continue to move southward and possibly move into northern Hill County, possibly bringing a warning there. This storm looks to be getting its act together, getting a little more organized. And getting in. Okay, I'm getting more messages here. Okay. So not much happening across most of our area, but Navarro County could be looking at the next phase of this event if this storm can continue to move on to the south. They're racing time. The sun is going down. As the sun drops, so does the temperature. That stabilizes the atmosphere. That takes away some of the fuel for the storms. Now, one of the questions earlier that Jessica asked, that it was asking if we're done after this, and we should be. Once the sun's gone down, we what is it? Kenny Chesney says we'll be grooving. Not really. I'll be sleeping. I can tell you that right now. But we'll be looking at these storms losing a lot of their intensity. I don't think we see any new development after sunset. Really, the question will be how long can these two storms last after the sun goes down and we start losing that daytime heating. So that's kind of what we're facing at the moment. Now, in far western Navarro County, we are seeing some new development here. So that will bear watching. This is west of Blooming Grove. Looks to be quickly intensifying, and that doesn't mean these are going to be storms. At this point, could be looking more at just a heavy rain situation there. Now, as for Waxahachie, again, I know we have that concert going on. Things have quieted down for most of downtown Waxahachie. I think at this point, the storm risk is gone. There's one last little shower kind of moving through. I think this will miss downtown Waxahachie. So I think downtown will start to clear out over the next few minutes. Things will calm down there. And I think that the concert will be able to go on without a hitch. I say that. Now, again, as I talked about, we could see more gusty winds across our area tonight, just depending on how things go with these storms collapsing. Sometimes when these storms collapse, the storm can be past you, and it may be south of Waxahachie, and you still have winds that move to the north. So bear that in mind as well. You could have gusty winds, 30 to 40 mile per hour winds possible, if these storms very quickly collapse. Okay, that's kind of one of those, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but just something to talk about in the overnight hours that we have seen so far this season. So we'll take another look at the, okay, so yeah, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning coming for this storm here. So western Ellis County will be under a severe thunderstorm warning, and I don't know if this is going to include downtown Waxahachie or not. I wouldn't imagine so. If I were drawing it, I would cap it off really south of downtown at this point. Okay, yeah, here's the update, and here's that intensifying hail core. So that's what they're pointing to. So really both of these storms, here goes the warning. So severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15. So really both of these, we're just going to start calling these the twins here. Both of these warnings are until 9:15. This warning goes from southern Ellis County, including 5 Points, Forreston, Italy, Milford here, into far northern Hill County, really northern and I would say eastern Hill County, Carl's Corner there, and then parts of Navarro County as well. So Mertens, right kind of where the three counties come together, Frost there. Blooming Grove kind of almost in between these two. I would consider yourself warned as well. But these two storms right now, splitting the difference, going right around Abilene. Abilene looks like it could get some heavy rain, but probably not the hail. The hail core in this storm, we'll take a kind of a closer look at both of these here. Try to get these positioned right. Here's one storm, here's one hail core, really due west of Italy at this point. And then the other storm, of course, moving through Ennis, moving through Bardwell now, going to be moving, continuing to move south. looks like most of the hail threat will move to should stay to the west of Alma here, but moving right towards Ensign, Oak Grove, Onion Creek here, into the Bardwell area. So that's where this storm is going to be moving in. Plenty of hail reported in that storm. And then we have the other storm here. So right in the Plum Grove area, here's Lumpkins and Forreston here, Italy, and Milford. So Milford really is in the direct path of the strongest part of this storm. So this will continue to move southward. And I do want to look at the winds to see if we're looking at anything particularly interesting. So it looks like we are looking at some winds in the Milford and Italy area here. So gusty winds ahead of this storm. Gusty winds associated with that severe storm in the Garrett and Ennis area as well. I don't see anything immediately concerning me about rotation at this moment. Let's get back to our reflectivity here. Nothing concerning about rotation. Again, like I said, tornadoes are not really part of the equation tonight. Not really part of what I'm thinking. And then again, as we look at these storms, excuse me, you can see the gray area. See this large gray blob? Those are your hail cores. This hail core in this storm it kind of erupted and intensified pretty quickly. We've seen hail in the Maypearl area, but now we're definitely seeing larger hail sizes. So the sun's going down. Again, the good news is the severe weather threat for Waxahachie has ended. So at this point, I don't see a severe weather issue there. This is all for southern Ellis County. And this also gives you a better look at the warnings. Both of these warnings until 9:15. So both of those really going into parts of Navarro County, far western, eastern portion, of Hill County here. Okay, and let me get the mouse to cooperate. As I mentioned, we're not really looking at anything behind this activity. So we have drier air that's moving in behind all of this activity. So as we watch this, okay, I want to continue to follow some of these pictures and reports that are coming in. And yeah, so hail in Ennis, off Ensign by the high school. Okay, so by the high school in Ennis is where the latest hail report has come in. So really, it's western portions of Ennis are seeing most of the hail at this time. But there's nothing in between, or there's nothing behind this. So again, one more little shower here in the Pecan Hill area. That's going to continue to move on to the southeast. Not really anything there. The good news is that, again, Waxahachie at least is looking at pretty much things have cleared out of Waxahachie. So the outdoor event there can proceed, but any outdoor plans in Ennis or in the Italy area here, really southern portions of Ellis County, should not be going on right now. You are severe warned, both severe thunderstorm warnings continuing until 9:15. The sun is going down. We should see these storms weakening, and over the next 35 minutes that this is active, I would imagine we will see that weakening trend continuing here. So already it looks like a couple of these, looks like those could be cycling down a little bit. I mentioned earlier in the broadcast about how these storms, this time of year especially, they cycle up, they get really strong, and then they really have nothing to sustain them, so they then collapse and go on from there. So that's why we've had so many of these storms, that they get really intense, they get warned, and then by the time the warning is out and I'm live and everything, they kind of start to cycle down. So these storms have not really maintained intensity too terribly long. Now this storm has maintained hail for quite some time in the Maypearl area. A lot of reports of hail in the Maypearl area. And we could be looking at stronger hail, larger hail west of Italy right now. So, and that will be moving southward. That will be moving across the highway. So again, if you're on the highway, if you're on the interstate, and it's hailing on you, and you want to pull over and take a moment, that's fine. Please, please, please do not park under an overpass. Okay, do not park under an overpass. Terrible, terrible idea to do. Just not something that you want to do at this time. Or really any time. You could be impeding emergency response. If someone, fire truck, ambulance, somebody needs to get through, they need to get through. And if you're parked under an overpass, that could impede that response. And I had someone earlier ask about the puppies. We actually had to remove the puppy post because apparently it was getting us in trouble with Facebook. So if you're curious about the two male puppies we have, send a message and we'll take care of that later. And then I mentioned this at the top of the broadcast or earlier in the broadcast. I want to make sure to say that if you're watching on Facebook, head over to Facebook. Or excuse me, if you're watching on Facebook, head over to YouTube. It's been a long day so far. Head over to YouTube, look for South Metro Weather, and then you will find our YouTube channel. It's going to have better quality. Now, keep following Facebook and Twitter for those periodic updates. Facebook is really best, most accessible. It's easier to post there. But the video quality, trust me, YouTube is so much better. So head over to the YouTube channel, give that a shot. And then I have people periodically ask how they can support the channel. That's one, is go subscribe on YouTube. And then you can also, there's donation links. I think if you look at the beginning of the chat there, there's usually going to be the Cash App and the Venmo, all that junk. It's up there. So that is there. So enough of the housekeeping stuff here. I'm just kind of checking my sources again. Okay. All right, cool. So we'll see these storms probably, and it looks dark now. So it looks like we've had sunset, and temperatures should be dropping. It looks like on my weather station here, the two things I'll say is, one, temperatures are dropping due to the sun going down. Two, there's a lot of rain-cooled air that's kind of blown around here too. So temperatures are coming down. We should see these storms weakening pretty quickly. I'm not terribly concerned about Blooming Grove, Corsicana here, because now I will say for the Rice area, this storm is still pretty intense. So I think the Rice area will probably see pretty intense weather from this storm. Again, for the Milford area here, that's going to continue to move southward towards the Mertens area too. But further south than that, from Corsicana on to Dawson, I'm not entirely sure you're going to see much out of these storms, because they should probably start to kind of collapse here over the next few minutes. And Lisa, you're asking where are the times on the comments. I'm not looking at the Facebook stream right now, so I'm not. Let me pull that up so I can help answer that question for you. I can't really see it in my head. And if somebody's able to answer that question for her. So I don't see where you have times on the comments. I'm not really sure. It doesn't look like the comments on Facebook have really have any kind of timestamp with them. So I thought they did, but doesn't look like they do. So, and on the YouTube stream, I'm seeing that we're at 22,490 subscribers. Thank you so much for that. I don't say thank you enough on these streams. I get caught up on this stuff, and it's important, but I do want to say thank you. Let's get to 2,500 tonight. We need 10 more subscribers on the YouTube channel to get to that 2,500 point. That will be fantastic here. That'll be great. And the storm in the Ennis area does continue to weaken. Let's take a look at that. So it is weakening here. So from Bardwell to Ensign, moving into Alma now, this storm does not look to have the hail threat that we had with it earlier this evening. So let's take a quick look there. Could be some gusty winds here, but not really seeing anything too concerning. And then the hail threat has dropped significantly in this storm. I mean, just watch this over the next, watch this. You can see that hail core just drops. Now, what I will say is that this storm, that when you have that hail core drop, have that storm collapse, all that energy has to go somewhere. So it's going to go down, out, and could still be some gusty winds as this storm moves through. You could have a rush of 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. Again, just kind of depending. And there goes that warning. That has been canceled due to the fact that this storm has weakened so quickly. So that's what we kind of what we were hoping for there. So now that storm has weakened, and that will continue to fall apart there. So really now the only severe thunderstorm warning that exists is this one here. Again, from 5 points to Italy and Milford in Ellis County, Frost in Navarro County, Mertens, I believe, is in Hill County here. It's kind of where these all come together. And then Carl's Corner there in Hill County as well. Here's that whole polygon here, you can kind of in front of the banner there. But yeah, so the hail has stopped in Ennis. Yeah, so the hail threat for the Ennis area has dissipated for now, which is definitely a great thing. To me, there's nothing worse than a Friday night, a Saturday night, Friday or Saturday night really, to get these kind of storms in, because there's people out doing things. I mean, in Ennis, there's a restaurant that's got a roof access, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I want to go eat there at some point, but I just have not had the chance to. But, I mean, there's outdoor things going on. And so these severe storms coming in when there's outdoor events always make me nervous. And it was a pleasure to be able to kind of consult on one of those outdoor events today and help be a part of that. So I assume the concert is ongoing at Rail Yard Park in Waxahachie. So hope that, and they're out-of-state visitors too, so hoping that concert goes off without a hitch there. In fact, let me, let's see. Let me make sure that a message gets over to them. Okay, so yeah, it looks like in Waxahachie for that outdoor event in Rail Yard Park there, things are clearing out. Things look perfect there. Comment there that there were people at the Motorplex in Ennis. So that was my question earlier, is what kind of outdoor events might be going on in Ennis. Hopefully those folks had a plan in place. It looked like most of the severe weather stayed east of the Motorplex. So hopefully, if there were folks at the Motorplex, they were either tuned in or at least watching some form of weather to see what was going on. And and that storm, wow, really continues to weaken very fast. So looks like that storm moving into northern Navarro County at this point, just a rainmaker. Could be some lingering lightning and thunder, but really a weaker storm there. At this point, the only severe weather we have, really a couple of things, I want to put this into motion and point this out, is we have the storm in the Italy, Milford area, and that continues to move southward. It looks like that one is weakening as well, but now we have a new storm in far western Navarro County, far eastern Hill County here. So this could very well become severe over the next few minutes. So the sun has gone down, but that's not stopping new development, because we have this energy that I assume this is a kind of an outflow boundary that's pushing all of this. So could be another severe storm developing here. I don't think this one will be around very long. Again, we're losing daytime heating, so you're losing a big factor when it comes to these storms. So I'm pretty sure this will blow up and then immediately kind of start to weaken here too. And I do want to say, there's still new people jumping in. I can see it over here. Make sure if you're watching on Facebook that you go to the YouTube channel. Number one, subscribe so we can hit that 2,500 point. That'll just be a kind of a fun milestone to hit. But also the video quality is better over there. More cooperative, better notifications, those kind of things too. We still post updates on Facebook, but the video quality is much, much better on the YouTube channel, for sure. So the warning continues for about another 25 minutes now. So that's until 9:15 here. The storm in the Italy area, it's definitely not showing the kind of intensity it did earlier. So this one may be weakening just like this other storm did that is now south of, I keep wiping my mouth here, but continues to move to the south. But this new storm that has developed right around the Mertens area, I want to zoom in on that just a little bit, could have a hail core developing here in the middle of this storm. So between Mertens and Irene, this storm becoming very intense, very fast, that will continue to move on to the south, I believe here, should have the same kind of movement as the storms north of it. So that isn't moving much, but I think as this energy to the north catches up to it, it will continue to move southward. Okay, yeah. So, and that's a good point, Michelle. Thank you for bringing that up. That the YouTube stream, you can put that on your TV as well, and kind of that blows up the details and makes it easier to watch. So that's the thing is Facebook got rid of the the watch feature, on Roku and those kind of things. So the car needed a good wash. Well, my truck needs a wash too. I don't think even this can help it, but truck needs a wash too. I'm gonna have to get that taken care of here pretty soon. No word yet from the National Weather Service on these storms. The severe thunderstorm warning does continue here. It is still in place, and we do have this new storm that at the moment has me a little bit more concerned about flooding, because you can see that it's blown up here. It's not going anywhere. It's not moving. So as we watch this one, we'll need to continue to keep an eye on that. But this storm from Milford to Italy towards the Maypro area there, 5 Points, Great House, that area, that's going to continue to move on to the south. It is weakening at this point. So I'm hoping that trend does continue. It's not weakening as quick as the storm that went through Ennis. Man, it hit Ennis and then just started to completely die out. The storm in the Italy area does still have a bit of a punch. And we'll take a look at our hail cores here. So I'm not seeing any really impressive hail cores, but this one in the Mertens and Irene area definitely getting its act together, definitely intensifying. And then this storm near Milford, it is weakening, but it's still got some intensity. So just keep that in mind. In the Milford area right now, the storm is weakening, but it still probably has at least some small hail in that area right now. So these are really what's left. This warning continuing for about another, I would say 10 minutes here. Well, about another 20 minutes until 9:15. So that's kind of what we're watching. So yeah, what we're seeing is this storm in the Milford area does continue to slowly but surely weaken. And then the storm right here in the Irene area is definitely picking up. We could easily see a severe thunderstorm warning issued for this one. It would probably be a shorter warning than this one, but a warning going into parts of Hill and Navarro counties here, probably covering Malone, Hubbard, Dawson, this area. So that could very well be warned in the next few minutes. I'm not seeing anything from the National Weather Service yet, but I will kind of keep an eye on that too. I'm going to go back in the chat here and see if I've missed any reports. Okay, not really seeing anything. Now, you just saw this change. The severe thunderstorm warning has been cut back, but still does include the storm near Milford there. So could still be looking at some gusty winds and small hail out of that storm. But I would say definitely the most intense storm right now in our area is the storm in the Irene area here, far western Hill County, far western Navarro County, far eastern Hill County here. That's kind of what I'm seeing right now in terms of the most intense storms for our area. No tornadoes tonight. No tornadoes are expected. Not part of the equation here. We did talk yesterday about how we had a marginal risk for severe weather. It wasn't something I was particularly concerned about. Really, when it comes down to it, any of these storms that we have where... Okay, I heard some noise there, but I don't think that's anything. It's kind of a situation where these storms, anytime you have storms like this, they can become severe very quickly. What's different about tonight was the persistence of the severe weather that we started to see, because a lot of the time you have these storms that by the time a warning is even issued, they weaken. They start to fall apart. So that's why it's very hard to call these late spring, early summer storms, because the updrafts, they get really fast, really strong, really fast, but they don't have anything to maintain them, and then they quickly collapse. So it's just kind of one of those things where this part of the season, really tough to call. And I've mentioned the outdoor events tonight and had a few folks asking about those. It's hard to call them because, again, you don't know where the storms are going to pop up. You don't know where the outflow boundaries are going to go. You don't know which storms are going to become the strongest. It's just a really tough, and that's why I tell everyone the best thing you can do is, at most, have an indoor alternative. At least have a plan in place. Rail Yard Park, that event, a message was put up here where they had a plan to, send everybody to southern routes. That's the thing. Make those connections, make those partnerships with those nearby businesses or there's nearby resources, and allow for that to happen. I know there are times when, if there's a hail event, they'll talk about going into parking garages and those kind of things. Now, parking garage isn't necessarily the best place for, say, a tornado situation or a gusty wind situation because it just creates a wind tunnel. But in a hail situation, parking garage, pretty solid choice. Definitely for parking your vehicle and just using those options. So we'll look across our area right now, and really not much going on nothing going on in Johnson County right now. Northern Ellis County is quiet. Hill County, far eastern Hill County right now, included in a severe thunderstorm warning that continues for this storm here, though this storm is now becoming more organized. Navarro County, a rainmaker moving into northern parts of Navarro County around Rice, was a severe thunderstorm, has really weakened quite a bit. And then these two storms in far western Navarro County here included in that warning. And again, that storm is becoming more organized, so really these two storms are kind of the last major storms of our area. Looks like there is one little cell right on the highway, looks like right in the Abbott area there. So a bit of a rainmaker there. Doesn't look like a strong storm, but there are two stronger storms there. But behind all of this, you're done. I mean, things have cleared out. The concert venue in Waxahachie, things are hopefully rolling there. The Motorplex and Ennis, things have cleared out there as well. Let's kind of zoom in here a little bit. Looks like there could be a little bit of a resurgence in this cell west of Rice. So keep an eye on this. This isn't the intensity that we saw earlier, but looks like we could be seeing this kind of starting to pulse up a little bit. Could be strengthening ever so slightly there. So that will need to be watched. And really along a line like this, along an outflow boundary like this, you're going to see that from time to time. These storms, they kind of pulse here and there. Like I said, the difference tonight was the persistence of the severe weather that we saw. That was kind of one of the things that really got my attention. So south of Italy here in the Milford area, and then down towards the Irene area. These are the two storms that are the most intense right now. The storm in Irene is new, and it has tried to become severe. It doesn't look like it's quite getting there. And then the storm in the Milford area has been slowly weakening over the last several minutes. So west of Rice, a rainmaker there. Weakening severe storm south of Italy. A storm that is trying to intensify in the Irene area. Looks like it's having some trouble doing that. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream here so that I can attend to some other things, some other folks that are asking some more specific questions here. And I'm going to continue to monitor all of this. And if we need to bring back live coverage, we will. But I think with the sun going down, I think we will start to generally see this activity begin to weaken across our area. Stay tuned for more updates on primarily Facebook and Twitter throughout the evening.